Apart from alcohol, which I think people are going to link as kind of the detrimental side that's going to harm the liver, what are the other things that can harm our liver health? Because I think as soon as people think about metabolism, they're like, oh, well, maybe I should be doing things to prevent it. So what actually is damaging my liver?
There's a lot of stuff that isn't good for the liver and that you can think about trying to change. Like number one, and this maybe sounds a little bit obvious and a little bit counterintuitive, but it is obesity. It's not good. The liver feels like it's under pressure. You got a lot of food to process. It's already probably clogged up a little bit as you've gotten more weight around the hips. It's also building up around the liver. That's maybe one thing people don't fully appreciate is that as you build up love handles, your liver builds little mini love handles as well. And as your liver gets more and more love handles, it becomes increasingly difficult for it to do its basic daily function. And then that over time and excessively sort of helps or causes the liver to begin to break down and then ultimately need some support in various ways. But other things that can be bad for it are, as I mentioned, drug-induced liver injury is a very common theme, not just recreational drugs, but regularly taking ibuprofen, regularly taking sort of your standard medication or even prescribed medication can sometimes have negative effects on the liver. Age is actually very bad for your liver. I know that's a weird thing to say, but with time, it ultimately, like any engine, just begins to get clogged up and sort of beaten down. And things that are really helpful for it these are also going to sound maybe a little bit obvious, but exercise is such a phenomenal thing. It's like a rejuvenative sort of function that helps you clear out some of the crap that's stored in there and ultimately helps to resuscitate it to some extent. Chronic stress is not great for the liver. It feels your psychological stress like a lot of your body does. We're sort of one interconnected organ. All of these things are interrelated in a large way. And yeah, there's a whole, and even having a better diet, getting the right sleep is good. Again, I'm kind of sounding like a little bit of a broken record now, but all of those core functions that keep your overall body healthy, your liver is being such a central node of your overall systemic health, feels the pinch when misbehaving on any of those fronts, and doing those little things can really have a positive impact.
So like you mentioned a few things there, like excessive medication. So I'm thinking many people listening to this, maybe who are on SSRIs or are taking anti-inflammatories every day to support their pain relief. What should these people be doing? Is there anything there that they should be more aware of? Obviously, probably getting good sleep and trying to exercise, but is there anything there that kind of should be sitting front, for and center for them to help impact their liver more in a preventative way?
We're getting a lot more precise and elegant with the medicines we're designing, and there's a lot less off-target concerns, and the liver appreciates that. But either way, I think if you are on a high medication, it's even more pertinent that you think about exercise and think about a healthy diet and think about all of these things to try and do everything you can to maintain a healthy liver function. And then I guess if you're taking discretionary medications that you aren't certain are fully necessary, you haven't been prescribed by a medical professional, think about that in the context of it. Do I really need it, or is there another alternative solution here for the problem that I'm facing?
And then that makes me think, what about supplements? Is there anything that you see, and I have seen some kind of headlines around green tea, because there's a lot of kind of green tea is really good for your liver, and then actually no massive excessive load supplementation, it can be really toxic and detrimental. And I see, especially as a nutritionist, so many headlines around have this supplement or have this, it will boost X or Y. And actually it could be in reverse, be doing the opposite and be really detrimental.
Yeah, I think like with everything in this life, moderation is the key. I do think there has been benefits, particularly for things like milk thistle, that have shown beneficial medical effects for your liver. There's been some real scientific evidence behind that. Also, green tea actually has some decent evidence to support in moderation that it's good for you and helps to clear out the crap. In milk thistle, the active ingredient is this thing called silymarin that seems to have support reducing oxidative stress, which is healthy for the liver and has kind of an antioxidant effect, which is broadly a positive thing. There's a few other supplements that have had some initial scientific research done on them. Things like turmeric have some basic evidence to support them, but all of this evidence is what's the word, like limited in validation. There's not necessarily been large scale clinical studies, because you think about trying to run a clinical study on turmeric, you'd have to have thousands of people only eat turmeric and kind of maintain a similar diet to the other 1,000 people who didn't eat turmeric, and then try and see over 20 years if that's actually improving your liver. So these kind of things are hard to say with conclusive evidence that this really does have a beneficial effect, but there's basic scientific theses that would seem valid to support their use. But I think, as you rightly pointed out, it is all about moderation with anything like that.
Yeah, I think it's all about moderation, because there was a few episodes where people have actually died from taking green tea supplements because it became toxic to the liver. Yeah. And you read that, and then you can, go online and you can go, the best liver boosting supplement, and you're like, oh, I'll buy that because I think it's doing good for my health. And actually, it has the complete opposite effect. I think we have to realize that it's still a sensitive organ.
Yeah, it's a really sensitive organ, and like I said, the danger is that you over index and then ultimately damage it, and it loses that sort of healthy ability to regenerate. There's also if you hear people, there are these sort of odd proposals for just drink salt water for a week and eat a bunch of charcoal and stuff. I'd maybe stay a little bit away from. It ranges as a spectrum, and again, it's just so hard to prove or disprove the value of these types of interventions, given the way you would have to run a clinical trial, which makes it almost impossible to really conclusively say that these things are good. And generally, my thesis is the wackier sounding, probably the more you should stay away from it.
Thanks so much for listening. To hear the full episode, there's a link in the description.